What's up, guys? Welcome to episode 4, huh? Welcome to the episode 4 of Cross the Line Podcast. How you guys doing? It's been a little less under a week, not over a week. Decided to post this episode a little bit earlier just because I got a busy week ahead. And speaking of busy week, it is back to school almost, and some of you that are listening or watching this, you guys are already in school. So I mean, I'm going back in September 6th. That is my official start date. So when that happens, I'm going to be a lot more busier. That being said, podcasts every week will continue. That won't change, but some of the other sides of my content will change, and my just more of my online appearances. Um, so yeah, today I totally forgot I'm doing this. I'm actually recording today's podcast standing up. And this is a discussion I've had with my chat on on multiple occasions, and people people are always like, "Bro, you're so weird. Why do you stand up?" I'm like, "Well, here's the thing. I spent okay, so back in my old house, I had this really old desk that was like around $150 Canadian dollars, and I bought it for school use. Obviously, I needed it. So I've been using that for like 10 years, and it's a small desk. It wasn't adjustable. It was sort of at a height where I had to work with. It was at a height that I had to work with for sure, and I was like I'm always sitting down, like vast majority. Like I don't know where my career is headed. I want to do something in the media industry. Um, but like I'm gonna be in front of a computer a lot. Like I'm gonna be in front of my laptop. I'm gonna be in front of my computer, my desktop. So I was like, I'm always gonna be sitting. Like no matter what, I'm always gonna be sitting, whether I'm in school, whether I'm doing content, whatever. So I'm like, there is a standing desk. There's not a or sorry, it's not just a standing desk. It's an adjustable desk. So what an adjustable desk is, it's motorized, and there's a switch that you can use to make it go up and down, as you saw I just did as a little demonstration. So that was an IKEA, and when we were moving, we were replacing probably like 60% of our furniture, 60% of our furniture. So I was like, this is a huge opportunity to make an investment into something that I will use in the long run. And that was a desk. So I bought a standing desk, and since I'm always sitting, I was like, why not just stand up? Because sitting like 10, 12 hours a day is not healthy, you know? So I was like, when I'm working or when I'm playing games, maybe I'll stand up like a game. I'll stand up for a game, I'll sit down for a game. I'll stand up for 30 minutes when I'm working. I'll sit down for 30 minutes, just like to get that little thing going of just standing up. Cuz I feel like a lot of us don't get exercise. A lot of us gamers don't get a lot of exercise to begin with, and we don't stand up. So like getting a lot of atrophy. And for those that don't know what atrophy is basically your muscles stop functioning the way they should because you're not moving them as much. And a lot of people actually go through that more than you would think. But yeah, that's me justifying buying a standing desk. Like there's no like, okay, people think it's weird because we're so used to sitting down. So I played a game or two standing up, and everyone was like, "Are you standing up?" I was like, "Yeah." And they're like, "You're so weird." I was like, "Why is standing up weird?" You know? It's like that's like saying being active is weird. It's an active rest. So that's my justification. It also helps with my back because I do get a little bit of back pain time to time now because I'm sitting at my desk so much. And like I said, you don't get exercise. Like most of my viewers and most of my listeners are on the younger side, and there are some people that are a little bit older, but the people that are older, they'll understand, like, over time, like, your back will get worse because you're always sitting down, you're always at a consistent position for such a long period of time, and you're just like, "Oh my god." You know, when you're young, you don't think about that stuff. Like, there's some things I don't think about now is like, "Oh, sleep won't affect me in the long run because I'm a superhuman," but that's not true at all. Like, sleep is gonna fuck me over and, like, in the long run down, and, you know, it's gonna affect my mental health. That's why I'm making an effort to change that, but I digress. So yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like for little the older listeners, they'll understand why I've made this investment, and for the younger listeners, you guys have to understand that your bodies are not invincible. You may feel like it's invincible because you get a cut, and 3 hours later, it's all healed. That slowly goes away, and it's the same thing with your back. Your back is strong as fuck when you're young, right? Once you get older, and once you are in a position for a prolonged amount of time, your back wears out, just like with anything else. You're not invincible. So this is my hot take on standing desk. I think it's worth it. Mine was about $700 Canadian. It is a little bit pricier than every other desk you can buy, but if you're thinking about your health and your productivity and all that, and you think it'll help in the long run, by all means, go for it. And if you don't care about that, then like I said, by all means, then have fun. um, right. Okay. So another thing I wanted to talk about, I've written some stuff down because I wanted to talk for a long time today, and yeah, we'll see if we make the hour cut today. Okay. So something I wanted to talk about with you guys is equipment buying mistakes. And this is something I've learned recently because I'm not very good with my money, nor am I sort of the patient type to save up and buy something better, because I'm a spontaneous spender. And yeah, I'm very spontaneous. So when I was first starting out with like just content creating in general, I think this just dates back to when I was younger as well. I would always spend money that I got, and that speaks true to buying equipment. So I have a lot of stuff. I have lights, I have tripods, I have cameras that I don't use, I have cameras that I use. For example, this one, it's just a webcam. I have a microphone, but I've been gifted. Very thankful. I generally have a lot of equipment, and a lot of it, like you'll see, like a lot of it is cheap and a lot of it is expensive. And one of the biggest like mistakes you can make with equipment buying is incremental buying. So what an incremental buying is you're buying from a lower end spectrum of an equipment and eventually getting to the higher end. So in the long run, it is more expensive because let's say you're buying a camera, and let's say I start with this webcam. This webcam costed me about like $200 Canadian because inflation. Um, at the time, this was really expensive. I don't know why. People are like price gouging. I'm having a stroke, which is basically I don't really know what that means, but it was very expensive for a webcam that was not its market value. But anyways, I bought. So for example, of an incremental upgrade or purchase is like you buy something small and then you upgrade. So let's say I bought a $200 webcam, I'm using this, and then I bought a $300 webcam, bought a $400 camera, $500 camera, and then like say end game gear is like $1,000 camera. So if you do the math, you've spent around already 2 grand getting to the same camera when you could actually save up a lot of money, do a lot of research in the meantime, and buy end game gear. Because a lot of the common mistakes that we make is that we want to buy, and sure, buying smaller or buying, lower priced, more affordable priced equipment is, in some way a learning experience on its own. And I have, right, that holds true because um I have learned a lot from buying smaller or lower end equipment, but in the end, you can watch a lot of videos on YouTube. Sure, it's not a hand to hand exchange of experience, like you using the equipment versus you seeing a not trained but a well experienced like let's say reviewer use the equipment. It's a lot different, but I mean that's like the stuff you learn over time, and you don't necessarily need that experience if you're going for end game gear anyways because it's different. So my advice to you guys or gals that are buying equipment for literally anything, I would go for end game gear and do your research. Don't just buy something that's expensive and pricey because you think that's the best gear. Buy the gear that's best for you. That's also another common mistake that people make is people buy equipments that are very expensive and they don't know why it's so expensive. They buy it because it's like, oh, everyone buys this, and since everyone buys this and it's at a good price point, I should buy this too. That's not true at all. You buy to what fits you the best, and that's how you should buy equipment and buy anything really. So that's a piece of advice that I have for you guys. It's just something I learned very not very recently. I have learned over time, but over recently, like more recently, I've been preaching on that. So yeah, that's just a little piece of advice. Take it or leave it. Take it with a grain of salt. Sorry guys, I had to cut I had to cut the recording for a little bit. I had to use the bathroom. I had Burger King last night, and quote me if I'm wrong, but I think Burger King is worse than McDonald's. I don't know what it is. I'm sorry for those of you guys that love Burger King, but I've never liked Burger King. You ever like just get something that's cheap and you're like, "Oh, this is horrible. This is like made of plastic." But it's sustenance. You get it to eat food, maybe it's a nostalgic value. You eat McDonald's, right? Let's compare McDonald's and Burger King. You hit McDonald's and you're like, oh, this is like really bad for me, but it tastes nostalgic. It tastes good because nostalgia tastes good. Old memories taste good. Bittersweet, you know what I'm saying? Um, and then you're like, but wait, I can go down a level lower. I can eat something that's actually plastic and that's actually toxic to me. And I think that's Burger King. I think every time I had Burger King, it legit tasted like dollar store food. And that's like funny because like McDonald's is the same, but they're not. Like the McDonald's is different. McDonald's is one of those fast food restaurants, huge chain, literally everywhere. One of those restaurants that's like around every block of your neighborhood. Um and that you just sort of have as comfort food. But Burger King, for me personally, I think you are literally walking into a dollar store, grabbing 30-cent ingredients and making it, and half of it, when you finish for the finished product, half of it is plastic. Because let me tell you, I had popcorn chicken yesterday, which was bussin'. That was really good. But their fries and their burger literally tasted like clay and plastic. I don't know what it is. Like that's the third or fourth time I had Burger King, and all just horrible experiences. I don't know. I just think Burger King here is bad in general. I don't want to shit on Burger King, but when I say I have to go to the bathroom, that was Burger King, bro. That was Burger King from last night, and the how I know what fast food restaurant is more plastic in them is when I'm the most bloated in the morning. So when I have McDonald's the day prior, I usually have it. I sometimes have it at midnight, and that's on me for getting bloated for that. But most of the time, I have it during the day. So even like at the latest at night, it's like maybe 9, or maybe I have it for dinner because we don't have anything. I have it at 6, 7, whatever. That's enough time to digest until I go to sleep, because I go to sleep at like 2 a.m., maybe like some days on 4 a.m. Knock on wood. But yeah, and then the next day, I feel good, but I don't feel the best. You know what I mean? Like, I'm definitely a little bloated because McDonald's it's not great. Um, Well, man, today I woke up and y'all, I felt the worst bloating in my life. And I had Burger King around like 9 p.m. and I went to sleep at like 3 a.m. So that's like 6 hours. That's enough time to digest and all that stuff. So I was like, I'm good. I'm going to bed now. And I woke up and I felt the worst bloating. I literally wanted to throw up. Like that's how bad it was. And I don't know what it is, y'all. Like I don't know what it is with Burger King, but I had the fries yesterday. It was nice and crispy, but it tasted like plastic. So I was just like, I threw away the fries. I was like, no more, no more of this because honestly, after having Burger King, I am sick of fast food. I was sick of fast food before, but it was just easy. It's fast food, right? And you're just stuffing sustenance so that you have something in your stomach so you can function. But like, holy shit, I need to take the time to make a lot of food for myself or do like some meal prep because that was horrible. And now I know. This is like very off topic. Anyways, let's talk about going back to school, y'all. I mean, this is what this whole podcast is about, going back to school. I think a lot of you out there, like I said in the beginning of the podcast, are actually in school right now and are dreading every moment of it. Some of you, I'm sure you guys are excited. I think a lot of people in the community are actually excited about school, which is nice because I certainly never was. And a lot of you are coming out of break or already out of break and then in school. So yeah, I mean, I think the vast majority consensus is that no one likes school. Like especially mandatory school. No one likes mandatory school because you wake up at 8, it's the same thing, rinse and repeat. And you go to classes that you like, you go to classes that you don't like. Vast majority is you go to classes that you don't like because you don't want to do school. It's just such a dreadful thing for a lot of students because they're forced to do it, and when you're forced to do something, you want to do it less because everyone has that tier of rebelliousness in them. Obviously, mandatory school is very important. I think a lot of students are like, "Oh, I'm not gonna use this in my real life, so why learn it?" It's like no, it's like it's a foundation to build your life skills. Like people say like, "Oh, why do I need to learn the quadratic formula in math in high school?" It's like you don't, but you also do because that formula will help you get into university, right? What people don't understand is that getting certain grades will help you get into universities if that's what you're pursuing. If not, fine. Like who the fuck cares? Do the bare minimum and go out into the real world, quote unquote, and work or go to trade school or do like hands-on experience right away. That's fine, but like I believe school is a good stepping stone to going out and achieving whatever you want to achieve, and it's not pointless. You got to think of it as a way is that it's like, oh, I'm doing the science biology test on the cow dissection, whatever, cow eye dissection, and this will in turn help me get into the career that I want. And if you think about it like that, and not think about it as like, why would I need to learn, you know, fucking the basics of, I don't know, quantum physics? That's something you don't learn, but like, let's say you did in high school. Like you just why do I need this for doing my taxes and all that? And I mean, even a lot of my friends complain about that. It's like, why do we like? I wish they taught us about doing taxes. I wish they taught us how to be human. But that's not what school is for. That's not what education is for. Education is literally for learning common education, which is math, science, English, whatever. Not English, maybe something like in different areas like Korean, different languages. Um, I don't see education as in a way um that prepares you for doing taxes. I mean, like they do taxes, right? And they're like they have to figure it out on their own, but they're doing it. you know? Because they went through school, they had that discipline, right? Do all this. Anyways, I'm going off on a tangent. um, that's my personal opinion. You don't have to agree with me. I'm not asking you to agree with me, but I think school is about just it's a foundation. Just at least mandatory school is foundation for you to do whatever you want in your life. And I think it's very important whether they're teaching you something that's pointless or not. It is government, and those things will be a big credit to what you want to pursue in the future. Anyways, yeah, going back to school. I'm actually going back to school in the 6th of September. I think I told you already. And yeah, on the 6th of September, I'm going back. And then I only have one class that week. And then the week after, flooded with classes. So the way that my school works, or my university works, is I have a hybrid system. At least for me, I think some students are more hands-on because I think like a nursing course, they need to be more hands-on. But I am going into Bachelor of Communications, um, in broadcast media studies. So what that means is that a bachelor's is a bachelor's. It's a major, and a major is 4 years. So I'll be going to school to study this program for 4 years, um, and a certificate, and then there's like a master's degree, but that's like 2 years, and then 8 years. It's a long time. So I'm doing a bachelor's of broadcast media studies, and that basically what entails of that program is it basically helps students learn about the historical side of media, and they also help you with the technical side of media, a broadcast really. So you do, I mean, it ranges from like doing podcasts like this. It also just like radio broadcast or news broadcast, any sort of media like YouTube, all that. So that's like I said, some media is something I wanted to do for a long time, and I just don't know where in the media I fit in or what I want to do. So taking this a little bit of a broader course, I think will over time will help me get to like whatever I want to do. Because yes, you figure out what you want to do for university, but you don't necessarily know what you want to do as your career. All I know is I want to be in the media industry, and doing this course will help me not necessarily get there, but it'll be a good stepping stone of where to start, because it's a big field, and it's constantly developing, and there's not a lot of guidance sometimes. I mean, there isn't a lot of guidance. Um, yeah, I think it'll be an interesting course to take. I am very excited. I'm ready to commit. I think the first few courses are writing for audio, like audio engineering, like audio development, um, and analyzing bunch of audio stuff. If the university people hears it, they're gonna be like, "Well, this kid doesn't know shit." um, but yeah, that's what I'm going to. I'm very excited. I'm starting on the 6th of September, which I think I said for the third time. Uh, so yeah, I think my personal experiences with coming out of a break to going into something more substantial is is definitely a change. So I think in the past, like during summer breaks, I there were times when I think like vast majority of times I did a lot of extracurricular outside of school. And when summer came, I did a lot of that too. And I think it's in the recent years I've did less of that. So I mean, it's summer break. Every kid doesn't wake up at 8 a.m. in summer break. I don't think any kid does. And I certainly wasn't one of them. I definitely indulged in being able to sleep till 4 p.m., 2 p.m., 1 p.m., whatever, how long ever it is. I didn't really have anything to do anyways because my parents were very accommodating. Um, so yeah, I mean, coming out of breaks were very drastic. Um, I didn't give myself time to adjust. And I think that's because I mean, everyone is this way. Everyone is very a routinely based individual. So when that structure's not there, which structure's never there in summer breaks, for students, especially at a younger age, when they go from that to having a full structure, students either have a really hard time um, readjusting, or students are thriving. And for me, I have a hard time. Like I took 2 years of gap year, and those 2 years were very valuable to me. Um, because it helped me become an adult. I had a lot more time to myself. I had a lot more time to do things by myself. So I had to figure a lot of the stuff out on my own. Obviously, my parents helped me a lot. I'm not gonna lie, my parents helped me a lot. And you need that kind of support when you're transitioning from, young teen to young adult to adult. And that just comes with time. But yeah, those 2 years were very valuable to me because it didn't necessarily help me, but it forced me. Sure, it helped me. It helped me to create a schedule for myself because I wasn't doing, like, technically I didn't have to do anything. I didn't have to stream. I didn't have to do a podcast. I didn't have to make content. I didn't have to wake up every day. I could have had the worst sleeping schedule anyone could have ever had, but there are times in the 2 years. I'm not perfect. I'm gonna be completely transparent. There were times in those 2 years where I just didn't. I was like that, like how I described it, for a couple months, couple weeks, and then vast majority of the times I actually set schedules for myself. So like this day I'm gonna stream. I'm gonna stream every day, so that every day at 6 p.m. I'm gonna go live and have a concrete thing to do because that's very important. Very important. And now that I'm going from probably the longest break I've ever had, which is 2 years of gap year, into going into something more routinal. Routinal, is that a word? So, I'm going to be waking up at the same time every day, if not earlier. And that's something I'm going to have to adjust to because for 2 years, I've had a sort of a freeloader type of mindset. Um, it was sort of a free for all. And yeah, so now that I'm going back into school, I'm very excited and I'm very nervous because, well, one, I'm excited because um, I'm excited to get back into the groove of things, of just sort of studying, getting back on that grind, if you want to call it. And yeah, it's great. Yeah, I mean, it's like going back is nostalgic for sure, and I'm ready to have a jam packed schedule, and having building my schedule around my school it should be fun. Um, yeah, my university is actually quite far away from where I'm living. I live in the Northwest, and it's a fairly new neighborhood. It's only been a couple of years, so there's not much around here. Or it's just, I mean, there's a lot actually. There's a lot coming in, but there's still not much. Um, no, there's a lot, but it's not like the city, right? So yeah, I'm quite far away from the city, and I have to get through the city to get to my university. And it's about an hour. It's about an hour with transportation, um, and it's about 2 even 3 hours with public transportation. And I have to take public transportation because I can't drive yet. Yes, I'm 20 and I can't drive it, but very soon. very, very soon. Um, yeah, so I'm gonna be taking the public transportation for a while. Good thing is that if you qualify, I think I qualify. I think I qualify for a free bus pass as long as I'm in school. So I won't have to worry about paying X amount of money for a monthly pass because those get very, very expensive over time. Yeah, that's quite pog. And yeah. So I think with the bus it takes about, like I said, 2, 3 hours on a 3 hours on a really bad day. 2 hours on a little bit of a busier day, and then like I think it just takes around like an hour and a half. Not too bad. So what I'll have to keep in mind though is that when I go to university and I have like 2 hours lunch break, I can't come back home because round trip is about 3 hours. Going back is about an hour and a half. So it's just not worth it. I think I'll be staying in my university for the vast majority of the time, which is why I invested in a um pretty expensive laptop so it can keep me going, it can keep me working while I'm at school. That should be really really real good. Um yeah, I think what's going to be different about this year going back to school than any other years I've gone back to school is that it is a more flexible schedule. I think what people preach on a lot in their university when they go, or and what they're excited for the most, is that the vast majority of the time they have a very flexible schedule. Obviously, the courses that you have, I mean, honestly, classes aren't mandatory. Like you don't go to class. Like teachers aren't gonna call home and be like, Mr. Crossley didn't make it to school today, so what the fuck is up with that? Probably not gonna happen unless you miss. I think you miss a bunch of classes, you just fail or you drop. They drop you out of the course. They don't, like, professors don't. They care, but they're not your babysitters. Like, we're all adults. University isn't just for people that are freshly out of high school. University is people for everyone. So like a university professor is not going to call some 30 or 40-year-old that doesn't have their life together and be like, "Oh yeah, yo, what the fuck is up, bro? Why aren't you making it to school?" So, that's with freedom comes type of responsibility that you have to take on. But I think, yeah, what's different is that if I make it, if I don't make an hour of that class, I miss an hour of that class. I miss an hour of learning. So I'll have to be very, 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 very consistent with my university. Um, I am a time freak sometimes. I think I get that from my mom. My mom is a time freak. So I think I'm always going to go there probably an hour to 30 minutes earlier. Just chilling, chatting with some peeps. I don't know. This university also, the one thing I'm nervous about is I don't know anyone. I know like two mutuals. I know one friend, but we're not really friend. You know what I mean? So, I'm excited to have a new group of friends. My current group of friends, they're great, but I don't have a lot of friends IRL outside of them. So, I mean, I think it'll be fun to put myself out there again. But yeah, I mean, just all that. Just like the nervous or just excited nervous is that kind of feeling. It's very different from primary or just mandatory school, which is more structured, I guess. In that everybody's doing the same and on the same boat. Whereas universities, everyone's doing something different, and everyone's not the same age, and so yeah, it'll be interesting. Um, well, really, we're actually making really good time here. I don't know if we'll break an hour. I'll have to make up some stuff to talk about. um, okay, let's talk about my future plans. regarding content. So, as you guys know, university is going to be very busy. I will have to keep a balance of my university, my relationship, and with everyone, and a balance of my health and all that. So when it comes to that, I have to focus on school because for 2 years I focused on just doing whatever and doing content or just streaming when I wanted to. I can no longer do that. I can no longer stream 12 hours a day or stream 9 hours a day. It'll probably boil down to 3 4 hours every other day, if that. Because I don't my schedule is gonna be different every single day, every single week. And I'm gonna have assignments that take up all my time. And the little time I have left, I want to spend it with my family. I want to spend it with my lovely girlfriend and just doing other things other than sitting at my computer and yelling. Obviously, I still want to make a lot of content. I still want to be here. So, weekly podcasts, I will make an effort to record. It does because it's not that hard. I sit in front of a computer, I talk like this for an hour, even less than an hour. So, I will be keeping that consistent every week. Topics will obviously change every week. I'm not going to talk about the same thing every day. And yeah, I'm actually going to start a new segment in my podcast soon so that it gets you guys a little bit more engaged in the coming future. So yeah, streaming will not be every day. I didn't stream every day to begin with, even now, but I'm going to be streaming less and less. It's not going to be like 4 days a week. It's not going to be 5 days a week. It's going to be like once or twice a week sort of deal. And the times that I stream, you guys can come by, say hello. I'll give you guys an overall update on what's happening. And it'll be a good old time. And with that being said, I'll also be not playing Valorant a lot. I know I've been playing a lot of Valorant as of lately as well. I've just been like trying to grind it out and getting to where I want before I have to go to school because obviously I can't spend nearly enough time or as much time when I'm in university. So yeah, I've been doing a lot. I've been doing a lot. I got to Plat 1. I'm very proud. I'm edging Plat 2. I'm actually 1 RR away and I'm kind of triggered. But, we're not going to talk about that. Wow, we're actually making really good time. It's only 37 minutes and I have nothing to talk about. I guess that's just me. That's my inability to fill time. I think I had a lot to talk about in my first podcast because I was literally talking about my whole life and there was just like just things to talk about. But I mean, yeah, this won't be my last podcast for sure. I'm gonna do a podcast every week. You just won't see me on stream as much. And to my loyal viewers out there, don't cry. I will always be here. Just at this point of my life, I won't be here as much. But I'm doing stuff in relation to media. Like I'm studying broadcast and media, right, guys? Like I'm studying that, and that has a lot of connection to what I'm doing now. So obviously, when I'm doing that, you know, I'm gonna be more present here because I think often than not, a lot of content creators maybe cut off their content creating when they're going off to university or they have a lot of work in university because their work has nothing to do with content creating. So, for example, you know, I have a friend that does software engineering, and let's say he did YouTube. He wouldn't, his YouTube won't be priority, right? His YouTube will be just, it'd be less of a, it'd be less focused, right? He's not going to be like, oh, I'm going to school, I'm going to write this code, and then this code will be my YouTube video. That's not how they're going to think. Sure, it's different from people to people, but when you're doing something every day, almost every day, that is, further away from content creating, they're gonna focus less on that. For me, like, sure, it's not a one to one or a direct path to what I'm doing now. But, one of my first assignments is like analyzing a podcast or, taking a portrait picture of someone I know or just someone with using like lighting to tell story and using that picture as a magazine cover as an interview and how you will structure that interview, what kind of questions you will ask. And all that will make me think is like, it's a direct relation to my podcast. I'll analyze podcasts and I'll come home and if I have to record a podcast just for my personal like this, I'll be like, oh, I'm gonna say this and this. I learned this from school. So it's a more of a direct relation. It's not completely detached. So that's what I'm super excited for. That's what I'm super excited for. And once I get into the whole audio like writing audio scripts or writing like doing learning about audio engineering, that's a direct relation to what I'm doing as well. Like my microphone. I don't know much about my microphone. I have researched a lot. I have watched YouTube videos, but it doesn't necessarily tell me, what sort of wavelengths or, what sort of plugins or programs or certain terminologies like low end, high end, bass, like bands, equalizations, all those things I don't know fully. And those are the things I'm going to learn in my course. So all of that will boil down to helping me. And a prime example is Harris Heller, actually. And this is not like sort of it's not a sob story about how Harris Heller is a super huge inspiration because he's not. Um, but he's an example, and he's a good example of how he went to audio engineering for his university. Obviously, he didn't finish, but he still went, and he gained a sum of knowledge that is helping him with his YouTube career. Like so okay, I'll give you guys a background of Harris Heller for those of you that don't know him as much. I think there's a very select few. Harris Heller is a advice YouTuber. So he buys products, he reviews products, he gives stream tips um based on his experience. And yeah, that's his content. And when your content is that and you've learned audio engineering, then that's what it translates. It's like when he does microphone reviews, he's going to be more knowledgeable than other people. He's going to talk about things that aren't going to be talked about from a regular reviewer or, advice giver, tip giver. That's the edge that you have. So the field that he went in for music, he went to audio engineering for music. That in turn helped him where he's at now. Not necessarily an exact, one to one quotient, right? But somewhere along the way, it got him to where he wanted to be. And another great example is a bunch of Smosh cast members. There is this one member that I'm very fond of, and his name is Damien Haas. And he actually did a lot of different jobs prior to where he is now. And he did a lot of, audio work, and then he did a lot of part-time jobs relating to like sketch comedy. And he didn't necessarily thought he was going to be here, but like somewhere along the way, if that's what you wanted to do, it'll the more you focus on that, the carvel path one way or another, whether it's you go one step and you go three steps back, you're gonna make progress. Um, so yeah, I mean, kind of went off on a tangent, but I think that's important to know. Like, not everything you're doing now may seem make sense. Like I said before, like you're learning stuff that you're like, why do I need to learn this? Like you're gonna learn stuff that you're not gonna understand now, but it will all translate to what you want to do in the future. So if you're learning, if you're learning about physics and, you know, velocity, motion, all that, you're like, what does this have to do with me becoming a firefighter? It'll it'll fall into place. And I have yet to see it for myself, but I know I know it's true. So yeah, don't stress. Don't stress. I've been down that rabbit hole, and you probably will be. And me saying don't stress will probably not help. But yeah, like everyone goes into that rabbit hole. It's like, oh, I don't know what to do. Yeah, I don't know what to do. What am I gonna do with my filter? You'll figure it out. And for those that do right away, you're a lucky man, or you're a lucky woman. You're a lucky person, for you to know what to do. And for people that like, even for people that know what they want to do, they often than not, you know, change their career, or they don't know what to do once they're in that field. So people have multiple careers, people have multiple changes in interests, and so don't stress. You don't have to settle on one thing. You don't have to commit to one thing because everyone's doing it. Do you. Take your time. You only live once. Um, so make the decision that you want and try things. Try new things. Um, and who knows? You might like it. You might find a new group of people. You might find a different community. You just don't know. And that's what I took away from the 2 years that I've been absent in school. So yeah, just do you. And I think we didn't make the 1 hour mark. So what I'll talk about is something that triggered me to my core. And this will sort of just tie off the podcast. So you gamers will probably know what I'm talking about. And for those of you that don't know, I'll boil it down to something more understandable. New World is an open world role playing game. And what that basically means is that it's a it's an open world. Like you think about like just the biggest possible area that you can play. You can travel to different countries, let's say, different areas, and do different tasks to make you earn merits. Open world MMORPG, massively multiplayer, a lot of people on the same map. That's what New World was, and it was made by Amazon. Um, and the beta came out. It was great. Everyone loved it. The servers blew up. I think there was about 300,000 concurrent players, and they broke a lot of records. And that game was released on beta after their first delay, and they had that for an entire year. Um, and then now that the beta was out, they promised a date. And that date was, I think, August, the end of August. So it's coming up. And then soon after beta ended, they were like, "Ah, fuck, we still have a lot to work on. We're gonna delay it till the end of October." And I remember just being like, a lot of games get delayed, And that could mean a lot of things, but that can only mean two things in my head. Either your game is so shit that you have to delay it, or you're doing something ambitious that you have to delay it. And I think for the first time, I'm very hopeful for New World. I think it'll be a great game when it comes out. But when a game gets delayed twice in their lifetime, it isn't the worst thing in the world, but it is certainly concerning. And I only wish best for that studio, but when a game company promised something and fails to deliver, it says a lot about their their productivity, not their productivity necessarily, but their ability to bring forward and follow through with what they promised. And that personally makes me nervous about the game in the future. I think it'll be a great game, but yeah, I don't know. I think I'm just trying to underhype myself because I like the game so much. I think that's the first game that sort of tickled my tickled my tick for um an MMORPG because there was nothing great out there. It was just sort of like you like World of Warcraft 10 years ago? Well, we have new content now. We have WoW Classic, play it. You like Final Fantasy a couple years ago? Well, we have new content, play it. I am I don't work that way, and there's a lot of people that don't work that way. I like new games. I like new games. I like fresh games because when you go into those games, there are thousands of players that are already decked out and doing insane rates that you don't even understand, and you have to work your way up. It's just a lot of time, and that's the time I'm not willing to put in. And I also like the fact that New World is literally New World because no one has played it and there's no progression anywhere. So I very much enjoyed it. The game was no, like, don't get me wrong, like, all those delays and, like, those are the negatives, like, the small negatives that I pointed out, but everything else, that game is amazing. Like, the progression, the potential for role playing, it's insane. The game, so good. I highly recommend for those that are interested in a good or looking for an MMORPG to check it out. You're gonna have to wait a month, though, from now on, but let's just hope it's worth the wait. I I think this was the first time in a long time I pre-ordered I pre-ordered a game, and I don't pre-order games anymore for this exact reason. Um because I pre-ordered No Man's Sky, and you guys know how No Man's Sky turned out on launch. I got the game, I played it, and I was bored after a day because there was nothing to do. There was literally nothing to do. And that's why I don't pre-order games. It's essentially like you're investing in something that you don't know how it's gonna turn out. It's a game that you've never played and you're spending whatever money. Sure, gets you excited. Is it worth the money? And like personally, no. Because it's just not. I just don't think it's worth it. Like for the first time, I was like, I'm gonna pre-order New World, and I only pre-ordered it so I can play the beta. I played the beta, awesome. And I was gonna actually keep my pre-order because they were gonna release it the month prior, and then they delayed it. And I was like, this is a sign for me to retract my pre-order. So I did, and I think a lot of people did as well. And yeah, it's just I don't do pre-orders anymore, man. And I think after New World, I don't think I'll ever pre-order anything. And that's just me. I think pre-sale is dumb, in my opinion. It's a huge marketing thing that makes people buy something that they don't even know what they're buying for. Like they don't even know if the game is good. Like a lot of people right now, like kudos, like sorry, if you like pre-ordering, go for it, man. Like if that's what gets you excited to play new games, go for it, dude. Like I have no problem with people that like it. That's great. For me personally, I think it's a very it's a business sorry guys. It's a business model. I'm like tangenting hard right now from back to school, but pre-ordering games is a huge business model. It's just pre-orders in general. It's to hype it up. Be like, oh, you could pay $2 more extra, or like you could do this and get that if you pre-order now. It's a huge marketing thing, and you're paying money for something that you don't even know that you'll like, or something that you haven't even really seen. And that's just something I'm not gonna bet my money on. Even if it's $60, $80, that's a lot of money to me. And yeah, so little hot take. But yeah, I think that about wraps this podcast. I don't really have anything else to talk about. I think I've covered everything that I wanted to. I actually have some notes that I put down right here. So I'm very proud that I followed it. I really hope you guys and girls enjoy this podcast. It was just me breaking down just my plans and my thoughts on certain things, mostly back to school, and just some innuendos or just random shit like standing up desks or buying equipment, and whatever else I talked about in this podcast. I don't even remember. I'm all foggy now because I'm standing up and I think I'm getting a little lightheaded. Anyways, have yourselves an amazing day. Tell someone you love them. Anyone, not anyone, someone you know, and that is an often exchange. I don't know. Yeah. I'll see you guys next week. Yeah. Peace.